Okay, let me get ready with my caffeine. Okay, all right, everybody. We're going to jump into our all hands for this week, February 22nd. A lot of this session is going to be a bit more about housekeeping and helping to bring everybody on the same page, just to kind of get us all organized and clarify how we're doing things and where we are. A lot of these documents are still going to be TBD, but I wanted to just make sure that there's a framework in place so everybody can understand who's doing what, who's working where, what our big objectives and strategies are, particularly because we have a lot of newcomers that are popping in on a student ambassador program as well as volunteers. So we'll go through our normal structured agenda this time around. We don't have any special showcases, but this may take the entire conversation anyway. And we'll leave Q&A for the rest of the time. And that's what we're going to talk about. So first, we'll just do some quick introductions for some of our newcomers. So I'm going to ask some of our newbies to please introduce yourself, just share a little bit about you, just very briefly, nothing like gigantic, and say hello. So on the call, new folks that we've got today, sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm going to pick on you, Chris Pariso. Hello.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Chris Briso. I'm coming on for kind of part-time pro bono help, mostly focusing on things like risk management, data analytics, some data viz, some basic red teaming type stuff, breaking things before anyone else has a chance to, and anything else that needs to be done.
And Chris, apparently you are an amazing blacksmith, so I think we should totally see the.
I don't know about amazing, but I like to shape metal. It's fun.
Are you able to make copies of this sword for everybody in the company? But at some point,
everyone in the company, I don't know, but it looks somewhat like a gladius. That is one of my top tier blades that I want to make. It's one of my biggest goals to make a Roman gladius.
Wow!
So I will get close to that at least.
All right.
Can you make me a karambit? I would love you forever.
I have actually worked on a couple of designs for those. I just need to get the drifting of the hole right. But otherwise, I do primarily make knives, like kitchen knives, utility, everyday carry type stuff. So, yeah, karambit's on my list too.
This is gonna be fun, Chris.
I'm gonna hit you up. In the eyes of the law, I'm considered a knife hand-to-hand expert, so I am definitely interested in getting some.
I'm long-time martial artist, Kali, Silat, all of those.
Same.
So
I trained Ronnie Bilicki and Steve Tarani.
Be careful, Chris. Nice. Justin might become your best friend very quickly, so just warning you. All right, well, welcome aboard, and thank you so much, Chris. It's really a pleasure to have you. And Chris with a K as well.
And Chris with a K.
You guys are both well connected and good buddies. Next, I'll ask Joe. Joe, welcome aboard. I'd love for you to introduce yourself and say hello.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's very nice to meet you guys here. My name's Joe. I have a statistics undergrad background, and I'm currently studying data analytics in San Jose State University in California. And I just hope we will have a great time working together.
All right, fantastic. So Joe's going to be popping in and being a quick part of our student ambassador program. But in particular, both Chris and Joe, because they have expertise in analytics and we're a little bit got a gap there, is kind of perfect timing that they're kind of both coming in and working together. I'm specifically going to ask them to help with, cleaning up our OKR dashboard, starting to automate as much as we can in terms of analytics and just make sure we're looking at our OKRs and KPIs much more intelligently. So that's the immediate plan. Next, let's welcome Kai JC. How are you, my friend?
Hello, can you guys see me?
Yep, we can see and hear you.
Awesome. My name is Kai JC. I am a junior from Rutgers University. Most of my background is in web development, like backends. More specifically, I've done PHP, Python, and MySQL. I also have some other experience in JavaScript, HTML, Java, and then a few other languages. I came here to as a student ambassador to focus on back-end development, but someday I hope to learn a lot more about game development.
Fantastic. We're super happy to have you here, Kai.
You're in the right place to learn those things.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna have plenty of fun experiences here, and I do want to highlight it for those that may not be as familiar with the Student Ambassador Program. It's actually coming along quite nicely, and ultimately the goal there's a layer of goals there. The first is we want to be able to provide hands-on experience, access to training and mentors and workshops. Ability to network with veterans across multiple industries, including tech, gaming, and entertainment, and just really help build some kind of apprenticeship for a lot of these students that are trying to develop their skills, get some real world experience, and then get out into developing their careers. So I think that's one key mission on our side. Because we are an open knowledge project, we have the ability to just share everything that we're doing very freely. So hopefully it becomes a great experience for the students, and on their part, they're actually contributing to our project and making the platform better and trying to help as many people as possible. So really it's a win-win. And that's the hope, is that this first class of student ambassadors really leads the charge and sets the stage for each upcoming wave every single quarter. So there's a lot of work to do there to continue to improve. And this first class is really helping us to forge the path. But yeah, we're super excited so far. Everybody on the student ambassador program has really been rocking it. So thank you all for doing that. And let's, make sure we give them all the support we can, and, make sure they have a good experience integrating with us. Okay, I think those are the newcomers that are on the call now. So I will go back to the agenda. So the second thing I wanted to talk about and share with you is our org chart. So this is still a work in progress, but I wanted to make sure everyone was at least aware that we have this document, and I'm basically trying to use this as a source of truth. By the way, can everybody see the tab okay? Before I go on and make a fool out of myself. Yes. All right, great. And let me fix that here. Okay, so I may have trouble zooming in properly here, but I started to I needed to visually help us understand the breadth of our organization and the types of people that are involved in this project. So what I've done here is put a bunch of sticky notes and kind of help organize the different structures we have, whether it's these larger pods or onboarding in our volunteer and recruiting pipeline, focusing on our product, taking a look at all the different business operations teams that we have, which we're calling guilds and ops, the different pods, our community and marketing teams, and fundraising. So I'll explain a bit more about this, but I would love to get your feedback and questions about how all this is structured. So first thing I'll get into is our onboarding and people ops. So because we're this open source and volunteer-based organization with a core team, we have a lot of people that are very interested in helping out and being involved in some way. But this is actually something that's very common to nonprofits, is that you end up getting this flood of volunteers, but you have to make sure your organization can scale to support that influx of people that want to help. And in large part because there's extra logistics to figure out what are individuals' availabilities. Are they going to pop in and out? Do they have a specific skill set that fits with a specific need that we have? So now that we're growing, we do need to pay a lot more attention to that, to make sure that as people come into the pipeline, that they're ramped up accordingly, that they're given the materials and training and attention that they need to get a lay of the land and understand how to participate and integrate with the team. So we basically have this new recruits pipeline, and we still need to figure out how we can enhance that onboarding process. Because right now, a lot of it's just kind of been me and a few other people just pulling people in. But I tend to be very spread out. So I'm trying to just focus on how do we improve this onboarding as much as possible. So in this area, you can see here all the new folks that are here, people that have had to go dormant for any number of reasons, whether it's personal challenges or, they got a new job or they moved or any number of things. So yeah, this is kind of our dormant pool of people that love the project, love the mission. They're kind of on hiatus, and we potentially can just call them up again, say, hey, we need a quick hand with this particular small item request, or we need your expertise, or hey, do you want to do a workshop? That's kind of what this pool is consisting of. And I spoke a bit about the onboarding process. So for anybody that is relatively new or are bringing on and onboarding somebody else that's still kind of getting used to how Leyline All works, this page here, the onboarding guide, is really crucial because it's just a straightforward checklist to understand, okay, what are the key things I need to know about Leyline and how things all work in order for me to be effective here. So this is not a perfect document yet, but what we want to do is continue to improve this over time. So for anybody that's joined recently, it's probably, and you haven't done this checklist, is definitely worthwhile. You'll learn a lot of important things. Folks that are particularly in a development side, we also have an engineering specific onboarding checklist, which is here. And also a work in progress, but for anyone who needs to commit code over to GitHub, to make sure they're on ZenHub, to understand how to check in code and deploy, all of that is here on these checklists. So what we want to do is make this as automated as possible and make sure that when people come in, they have a very smooth, nice, easy experience. They know exactly how to get started, who to talk to, how to get introduced, what are the first meetings they should attend. So I'm sure all of you newcomers have probably felt the pain of like, I don't know what the heck's going on. We want to solve that problem very quickly with this process. So just sharing that for visibility. And back to the next item. Oh, sorry. And back to the org chart. So that's a big focus that I'd like to make sure that I at least level up as I bring in new people into the org, because those volunteers do not stop coming, which is great. It's fantastic. It's really lovely. So second piece here is and putting energy towards continuing to iterate and build a product that we're going to love, use, and recommend. So there's been a lot of transition here over the past few weeks. Sorry if the zooming is not doing so great. But what we're trying to do is make sure that we have one clear product-focused pod that as it grows larger, we can probably segment into smaller teams. But still, since we're still reforming with newcomers and ramping up some of our volunteers and student ambassadors, essentially we have one larger sprint team, this pod, and this pod meets every single day for different rituals throughout the week. So you have your Monday sprint planning, you have your daily stand-ups each day and bug triage, and retrospectives at the end of the week. And we've got our product and project managers that are involved here to work on requirements, coordination. We have our engineering crew here, which consists of part-timers, volunteers, and student ambassadors. We do currently have a gap, which is essentially like the lead, or a person that could effectively play the role of CTO, that is really helping to set the vision for structure, guidance, tech stack, integrations, and most of that architecture and strategy. So we are actively looking for that type of role. It's tough because we're doing funding at the same time. So we may have a candidate or two that might be able to help us out there. And then we have design that's helping to provide UX, wireframes, the actual art pieces as well. So that crew is really just focused on how do we continue to build out this product. And if you'd like to follow along with that development and our priorities, you should attend tomorrow's meeting, recurring meeting, which is a product vision sync, where we go through the roadmap and talk through all of our key priorities. And that roadmap is available for everyone to see. It's all located over here on the Leyline roadmap under goals and strategy in Notion. So you should definitely favorite that. And okay, so that's the product side. And then I'll jump into our other pillar, which is investing in our communities and growing our users. So this is where we have a good chunk of folks that are participating, both part-time, volunteer, and student ambassadors. So a lot of the focus here is that there's really two sides of the same coin here at Leyline, which is the product side and the community. Both cannot exist without the other because we're actually building an ecosystem. So a lot of the value that we're creating here is about this level of engagement and building this sense of community and relationships and friendships and trust into our core user base. So it's super important that community is strong and vibrant and lasting, because these are our early adopters or our evangelists. They're the ones that will support us as a nonprofit and as a business with finances, especially early on. So that's why it's always really important to focus on the customers you've already acquired, because the amount of value they'll give you back is disproportionate to any, new acquisitions that you come in could potentially just go dormant or churn or anything like that. It's the most passionate people that we want to make sure we're taking good care of. So it's why we have a very active community, and a lot of our volunteers are coming in through this pipeline, and hopefully turn into quest hunters over time, which is starting to happen. So yeah, the way it's broken up is we've essentially got different communication channels, and particularly with Discord is kind of both our customer service and community, collaboration platform. And we're seeing a lot of great growth here, which we'll see in our OKRs and KPIs. We are also producing a lot of content, and luckily most of it is a good chunk of like just us being able to have conversations with each other and function as a team. And that gives us a ton of like B-roll footage that we can cut down into social media or reuse as talking points. So yeah, we're still trying to figure out what content really resonates the best on what particular channels, whether it be social, Discord, emails, on our main platform, through our Q&As. So there's still a lot of experimentation to figure out what's most effective and how we organize ourselves. I hope that was helpful, but if you have any questions, feel free to raise a hand or talk in chat. So yeah, the other area is in fundraising. So, as we've talked about, as we've discussed last time around, there are multiple areas of fundraising that we're spending energy on. The first is on crowdfunding, which we'll talk about a little today, because that's going to be a focus for us this week. And then second is all of the, larger investment opportunities that we're working on, particularly from angel investors, large donors, social impact investors, and VCs. So that's what this team has been heavily focused on. And then finally, there's the guilds. So the guilds are, so essentially what a guild is a group of specialized individuals, which means that if you're in a particular discipline and you're not working on a specific set of projects, this pod is for you to kind of make sure that you're aligned with similarly skilled individuals, that you're, trying to learn from each other or providing services to the other teams. So a good example of that is Alina and how fantastic she has been to help provide an eye for security in all the things that we're doing. So she's not necessarily, particularly embedded into a major pod. She's actually floating everywhere and supporting all the different groups. Same with accounting and finance and art, etc. So that's kind of how the overall structure is set up. And guilds and operations really support these major pillars over here. Sorry, I didn't even go through the color coding, but yeah, here's like the legend essentially. So blue are full-time heroes, part-time are apprentices, blue are pro bono volunteers, orange are student ambassadors. I've indicated green for kind of leads on the respective like major pillars if needed to be covered. Red are areas that we need coverage pretty urgently, and then pink is dormant. So this board is now always linked on the all hands meeting agenda page. So if you'd ever like to understand where you sit, hopefully you're on there unless I screwed up, or like who else is working on what projects, you can now start going to this org chart to take a look. And please, please, please add your name and tag yourself in the Leyline roster so you know who is on a team, what skills they have, how to best communicate and coordinate with them, what time zone they're in, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, please add yourself into the roster so we can all know who we are, since we are getting quite big. Any questions or hands raised? That's a lot of talking. Wow, 21 people, not a peep. Is this thing on? Oh my God.
Yeah, you were muted that whole time. No, you're just so thorough. I don't think anybody has any questions, or maybe we're just all processing.
Yeah, hopefully it was understandable. But you could, replay the recording on half speed if you guys want. Okay, so on the financial side, I've messaged and emailed some of the latest updates from last week. But honestly, this is probably one of the most exciting things. Kai, you have your hand raised. What question would you have?
This is about the Quest board. If I wanted to join a project, do I just put my name on it, or do I reach out first?
Excellent question. So this is great because there's many newcomers, and the Quest system is quite integral to how we coordinate here. So as you're going to be working on a project, we have this gigantic Quest board of all the things you could potentially work on. And I'll try to see if I can pull up a good example here. No, maybe not the icebox. That won't be as helpful. So the process you should use, which I think we also have documented, is if you have found a quest that's a good fit for you, what you should do is take a look at who the quest or who it was requested by. That's essentially the quest owner or the quest giver. So the first thing you do is just go ahead and tag them on a comment field and say, hey, Jeremy, I'm interested in picking up this quest. So once you're ready to say, hey, you know what, I want to work on this thing. I'm very interested. Can we just find out more about it? That quest giver will say, cool, I've written down all of my goals, what I'm expecting to do. How about we just do a very quick sync so I could just literally talk you through it and answer any questions that you have and then figure out the timing and schedule. So some quests are easy to do just by yourself, and those are the easier ones to pick up. But if it ends up being part of a larger project, we'll probably plug you into a pod and be a part of that team. And you can individually track your hours as a team at the bottom of this hour tracking session. And in the meanwhile, you have your sections to kind of keep communications and update your work in progress. And then, put in your closing statements as you finish your deliverable. So that's like a super, super quick crash course on the quest on how to get involved with quests. But we also have a guide there, which you can look at. So if you go to Leyline Workspace, and I'm going to go to the quests homepage, you can see the intro to the quest system over here.
Okay.
And feel free to read through all of that process and instructions, so that way you can catch up on how it all works. And it's a good refresher for everybody, because we're not all doing the quest system 100%, which I know is like a bit of a challenge, particularly on the engineering side, because it's disconnected from ZenHub. But we are looking to improve that in the near future, probably a student ambassador quest. So anyway, that is the quest system. Kai, great question. Thanks so much for asking that.
Thank you for answering.
Yep. All right. Okay, so back to the next bit here. And Kai, if you don't mind, you could lower your hand raised on. Thank you. Okay, so I did want to share the good news from last week. So this is very exciting. We've been working hard to find major partners and investors. So I think I might have missed a week here. We are collecting stats for week 13. Chris and Joe, you're going to be so appalled by the way I collect data here. And I am so looking forward to you helping me upgrade this dashboard along with Tiffany. But this is where we are in our stats. So I pulled the latest impact stats that we have. So we are at 2863 days exercised amongst our users. So we're increasing here at a pretty steady clip, which means that people are actually using the alpha and using it pretty regularly now that we have more people added to the alpha each week. So yeah, we're seeing some continued growth here, but we still have a large objective, which is to increase this to 50K. So got some work to do there. A lot of it is just going to kind of grow based off of additional users going into the alpha test, and if we can get to device integration, where people can just hook up their Fitbit or Strava or whatever to automatically count the exercise. Eugenia, actually, do you know the latest stats for the blood drive? I don't know if it's 5 or more at this point, but we were able to get a few folks to donate, and I am scheduled for this afternoon to get my donation, so this will go up by 1. And then for the Boink amount of hours that have been donated, we're at 57K, which is also pretty cool. You're seeing some good growth there. Okay, Bex, I'll ask for the updated donation figure here. In terms of user growth, we are making some progress as well. This tends to be around like the 10-14% range of growth week over week. And you'll see the real growth is actually coming in from a lot of our community. But what's interesting is that we still need to figure out where a lot of our user acquisition is coming from. And originally it was a lot from like our PR, press, and that kind of explosions. And we have a good steady flow coming in from our various social channels, including LinkedIn. But we are definitely seeing a big spike coming in whenever we do an interview or podcast or major like collaborative event with some of the communities and partners that we have, where we get an influx of 20 folks to just jump right into the Discord as soon as they kind of hear the message. So it's another area where we're leveraging our marketing and social team and community to figure out how we continue to grow these users. And a lot of it's going to come from referrals and friends of friends and or interviews. So this week, we are going to be pushing just a donation campaign to, in large part, a lot of our existing customers and audience to try to get us to 50K on a GoFundMe page. So we are currently at 35K. So essentially, we got to just raise 15K to hit our $50,000 goal for February. And I've actually, so today I'm going to be doing all this outreach to, a good chunk of like direct potential angel donors that can help boost the numbers a bit. But I'll also share some of the messages that I sent kind of like as a template. If you guys want to kind of hit it out to your network, friends and family, that would help a ton. And I think we could probably hit this target. I hope. And it'll be an interesting hypothesis to verify by the end of this week. And what else is worth calling out here? Newsletter signups is not terribly exciting, but we're still getting some growth there, but it's literally hidden on the bottom of the footer, so I don't expect a ton out of this. But the exciting thing is that on social and community, we're growing significantly and consistently. Sorry, we don't have some of the old stats here refreshed, but Discord continues to grow. We're at nearly 500K users, and this is a very powerful indicator because this is absolutely the most engaged platform that we have, because it's like our customer service tool is where alpha testers have committed and they're spending time and becomes a social community as well. But we're also seeing like pretty steady growth too. Twitter and Facebook, we're really rocking it here. It just constantly grows. LinkedIn and Insta I think is tougher because the algorithm kind of suppresses us quite a bit. But Haley, did you want to share any insights? I know you're posting some stats here as well.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, can hear you.
Yeah, so actually, as well, Instagram isn't what we're focusing because it's a harder platform to get conversion on because of the way that it punishes links. It makes it really hard. It makes extra steps, and we're not really able to target people as well. So Twitter and Facebook is also where we're kind of making our message for and pouring all of our time into, as far as like engagement goes and doing things proactively. I would also like to say that, we had a way to tap into like 30 signups the other day when I reached out to this Discord group that's within our network. And I can just keep doing that until we hit as many people as possible. They were super excited. So that may be a way to get a lot of growth. But social media in general has been going well, especially after the NCXT podcast the other day. We got like 54 followers from that alone, which was really awesome. I put the current socials in chat too that I pulled last night, just before we started this campaign.
Sweet, thank you. Fantastic. All right, so we're still at pretty, I would say, relatively flat growth, and I think this is an area where we're going to continue to look into. Okay, what are going to be the big hitters that really start to bring in more of the explosive growth that we're aiming for, and then what are the strategies that have been working well for us in the past that we need to leverage going forward. So for sure, there's a lot of opportunity in terms of the content that we're generating and our collaborations with outside communities that already have large engaged bases, because those end up being big user acquisition pools for us. All right. Any other questions? Hands raised? No? Looking okay. Cool. Great. Kareem and Jamie, yes, go ahead.
So I told you about the LBRY. We're planning on adding that, I'm guessing, because I know that if we're gonna hit like the crypto space, like it's a humongous on that platform, especially also blockchain as well. It's like probably half of the content on there besides like regular YouTube comparable content.
Yeah, I think it may be a good time to start to reevaluate which platforms we are focused on and where to spend our time and energy. The biggest challenge will be our available bandwidth. So that's what we have to at least get on the same page about. But just on Saturday during our community Q&A, we had a couple volunteers, Ariel and Refluence, who said, "Hey, listen, you guys don't have any activity on Reddit. Like, we can help you, get that all set up." So they're very interested in helping us to set it up, to moderate it, etc. But the question is, okay, where do we currently have presence? Where have we been putting our energy? And what are the other platforms where this could make sense? And, what comes to mind are things like Reddit, Library, TikTok, for example. So I think we should, as a group, make sure we understand, like, what are the benefits of going down a particular channel and path? What are our objectives? Do we have the skill set and the bandwidth needed to actually be successful on that platform?
Right.
So I think we should just align on that. So we could talk about that today at the community team meeting.
Okay, and also like every time, it's not like YouTube where you have to have a certain amount of followers in order to get like paid. It's just automatic because it's all cryptocurrency. It goes straight to you.
Yeah, I think there's a really nice alignment for sure with what we're doing. And if there's a way we could just leverage existing content that we're already producing now and just propagate it out there, that could be a massive win. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for the suggestion. I think we may be able to capitalize on that.
Yeah.
All right. Love it. And Kareem, I think you had your hand raised as well.
Yep. I had a question about newsletter because it was mentioned on the Excel sheet, and I guess it's kind of tied to what's next on the crowdfunding. I was wondering if there was like some plan to now that there's a crowdfunding in the plan. Was there any plan to actually get a newsletter content laid out so that we have like this care for the people that are subscribing and keeping them apprised about what's new on the Leyline platform, etc.
Yes, absolutely. Excellent question, because now it's a perfect segue into our crowdfunding push for this week. And I think we're probably renaming this to not feel as massive in scope as it may be. But essentially what we're looking to do is just get to 50K for February 2021. And there's some basic assumptions here is that we've accomplished a lot. There's a lot of people that we've now connected to. And even these stats are out of date, as you can see. But one of the key things and opportunities is now that we've built a product, we have a proof of concept, we've got a core engaged community, and we're seeing growth. How do we communicate to the people that have already donated to us, that have believed in us from the very beginning without any of that accomplished? Plus, we have 12 partnerships as well. So how do we leverage the network that we have of engaged people supporting us, the partnerships that we made and their communities, and obviously the existing donors, and building that relationship. So it's really just reactivating a lot of those contacts and seeing if other people will see this message and believe in it as well and donate for the first time. That is really the test that we're trying to achieve this time around. So emails will be incredibly important for us. And we do have that on our project plan over here. So if you take a look at our project plan, where we are right now is we've got the brief and the copy pretty much ready to go. So this copy here represents all the possible things that we can say across the board on each day, depending on which channel. So Haley, I want to give a giant shout out here, did a ton of work. And I think Crystal was well helping to produce all these different assets, which is far above and beyond what I imagined, Haley. So thank you so much for doing that. But essentially, we're having the theme here of aligning, and basically that this is our origin. This is what we raised so far. This is how we leveraged that money and did some good. And then please, here's the call to action, keep us supporting so we can keep on having this positive impact. So specific to newsletters and emails, we have that under this task here. So with email communications, essentially what I'm going to do is on the GoFundMe, I'll have a personal note to just basically say, sorry for the delay. We know you donated back in November. Here's how we're doing. Thank you so much for your support. Here's all of our recent accomplishments and what we've done so far, any impact. Here's the partners that we made. And here's a challenge that we really need your support to stay afloat and, support the staff that are already working on this and for us to scale. Here's how we'll spend the money, and please help us hit this goal. So that's really the theme of what we want to try and get out there and just see who believes in us and how much they can actually participate and help. So this is a baseline text that we can reuse for the existing email account database that we have and a newsletter database. So Trevor will help to reformat this copy and design it so that way we could send it out via MailChimp. I hope that answers your question, Kareem. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, sweet. All right. So yeah, that's the plan. So this week, you'll be seeing a lot of activity on every communication channel that we have, whether it be email or through our BizDev contacts, where they can reshare or retweet some of our existing posts and just amplify that message. And that's the hope, is that it'll go much broader, because it's not just the base that we've built up, but also these partnerships and the engagement in communities that they already manage and have much more sway with. So let's see. Let's hit that 50K goal. 50K goal, guys. We can make this happen. I think it's quite achievable. And anything you do to help to spread the message will be wonderful. I basically say, like, hey, listen, here's like how much we've accomplished so far. Would love your help. If you could just chip in $5 and ask a couple friends to do the same. People end up just like, throwing in a little bit of money and just say, buy us a coffee, and you'll be surprised how many people will actually contribute and help out. So back to the rest of the agenda here. What else to share? So we went through the crowdfunding push. And, okay. So also wanted to get more into rhythm. So one thing I do want to comment on is that we've been sprinting so hard for so long with this kind of vision and goal of like, hey, we got to get to funding, like get us fully funded and we can make everything real. But the reality, I think, is a bit different, which is we should just actually be building incrementally towards our dream organization and dream goal, regardless of whatever the funding situation is, because that'll happen over time. It's not just this one finite moment in time. We have all these different income streams. So what I would love to do is to really focus on structure and people, because now that we have so many people in the group, we really have to start to design our organization to scale. And when we first started, I was kind of like me, just being the glue across all these different teams and recruiting and biz dev and stuff like that, which is totally unsustainable. So what I want to do is actually set up the organization so that everybody's empowered to build that and to build those bridges and communicate directly with each other. So the first area where I'm starting is to make sure that we have these key pillars that the entire organization can really come together and have a very clear picture of what's happening, what the priorities are, where their vision is, and where the the next set of objectives are going to be. And then also to make sure that we recap and share our learnings and achievements with each other so that we constantly improve. So that's what I'm trying to start off with here. So our all hands meeting is to just, get us in sync, talk about the big picture, look at some showcases, and understand the structure of how we work together. The product vision sync is where we go through the roadmap and we identify what exactly we are working on, what the key beats are, where all the energy should be focused on, whether it be fundraising or, building the community, et cetera. And then every other Thursday, I believe it's Thursday, we'll do the show and tells, where we'll have the different pods present what they've actually produced over the past couple of weeks or so, pull up their objectives and key results, discuss their learnings and what actually worked well and what didn't. So that's going to be part of our key rhythm of business. And each pod can have their own communications process or rhythm. It's really up for that pod to decide. But this is one venue through which all of these things start to come together. And we're going to continue to improve on this model and scale it up to help make sure that we've got these communication channels where every pod can kind of get back into sync. So one thing we do want to avoid is like pods becoming very isolated and just kind of moving in a totally different direction from the rest of the organization, which has happened, at times, which is fine. But now we just need to learn from that and just make sure that the glue is still in place. So any questions there? There'll be more to add soon. Anything missing that we absolutely need that's a glaring omission?
Oh, maybe just a reminder. In addition to every pod meeting and ritual, we also have the guild, the community of practice meetings that we could revamp as well, to be sure that people working on different pods but doing more or less the same thing can't talk to each other. This is something that we enabled back in December, but we really didn't push forward too much. We can maybe revamp now.
Yeah, I'd say so. And, it's, and Paco, I want to give you a big shout out. You and Nico are essentially that glue right now, which is kind of pulling all these different teams together. And, we're pretty chaotic organization because we're growing so fast and changing and pivoting so quickly. So special shout out to you, Paco, for really helping all of us stay together and informed and pointing people in the right direction.
Thanks, man. Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I'll save the roadmap stuff for tomorrow because that venue, the product vision sync, is where we're going to really go do another deep dive here. There's still a lot of work for us to clean that thing up and, get the right priorities in place. And we have a gigantic backlog to review and to prioritize. So feel free to join that one. It's a very effective, or rather, it's a very important meeting to see the direction that we're going. And for the most part, you'll just pop in as an observer. And so an observer is a different type of attendee, which is you don't have any requirements to bring or prepare or to participate or to comment. You're just there to kind of see what's going on, see how the team interacts. This is particularly useful for people that just want to learn and understand more about how the product management process works and prioritization. So feel free to join, and we will record the sessions anyway, and I'll make sure to keep notes the same way that I keep notes for the all hands meetings, and you'll just be able to follow along in terms of our history and decision making. So yeah, the idea here is to be fully transparent, to give access to all this information and these discussions to anybody in the org that wants to see it. That's it, I think.